Hey, it's Mike Hambry from FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting, awesome, incredible expert interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry. Real quick, I want to tell you that we're actually about to launch a new podcast. It's called Ask a Real Estate Nerd. And what we need right now are questions. If you have questions, we're going to have our experts answer them. So just go to flipnerd.com/ask, and you can literally record your question. And if we do end up using your question on our show, you actually are going to get some sweet Flip Nerd glasses, just like I have right here. Pretty cool, pretty cool. The ladies love them. But hey, today I'm joined by Greg Reid. Super excited to have Greg on. You're going to know his books. He's written a lot of stuff. Greg is a motivational speaker, a master storyteller. He's a best-selling author and a filmmaker and an entrepreneur. Greg is highly sought after as a speaker, and today he's going to share with us the power of perseverance, stickability, if you will. As you know, we've talked on the show many times about how a lot of people give up, and there's a lot of ups and downs in real estate investing, so it's easy to give up too soon. And Greg's going to tell us how to avoid that today. Before we get started with my friend Greg Reid, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days with rates starting as low as 9%. For more information, call 888-296-1697. B2R Finance makes loans tailored specifically for rental investors. They can help you unlock equity from existing properties so you can get cash to grow your rental portfolio. That's huge, and it opens up lots of opportunities previously not available to rental investors. Need a loan? Call 855-819-4412 or visit b2rfinance.com today. National Real Estate Insurance Group is the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. We'd also like to thank Crestar Funding, Mid-Atlantic IRA, and Renters Warehouse. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Greg, welcome to the show.
Hey. So funny. It's off record for people that are new to this show here.
We're on the record. We can't
okay, well, there it is. You're so casual and easy, just talking, and all of a sudden you start, you're like, hey, guys, gals, and freaky pals. Like, oh, man, I did not see that coming, man. Hey. Back to the whole thing.
Here we are. Excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. It's interesting. First of all, congratulations on the success that you've been accomplishing. And the best thing about it is you're helping other people. And in one of my books, it says, the greatest success we'll know is helping others achieve and grow. And it's so cool that, your stuff is awesome, but it's so neat when you get to see someone else do it. That's got to give you that little tingly.
Yeah, I think, a lot of, not everybody, but a lot of real estate investors that have seen some level of success come to a point to where there's something missing, some level of satisfaction there. Because this can be, I've said this several times, it's becoming a cliche at this point, but real estate investing generally can be a lonely business unless you find ways to socialize and teach and help other people. So I'm excited. In fact, just a few quotes here. We're about to hit 8,000 members today after 3 months, which is we're pretty excited about. And we have almost 350 wholesale deals listed on our site, which is adding like 10 or 15 new deals across the country a day. So our platform is catching some heat, catching some steam, picking up steam. We'll still use that one. So,
and it's another thing too is I know that you're accessible, and when we talk about some of the books and stuff that I'm part of, it's all great. With the short version is I get access to the most famous people in the world to pick their brains and tell their stories. But what's cool about it is I realize that the most successful people are also the most available. And one of the things is you have a reputation of being available. And it's really interesting is the most successful people truly are the most accessible. If you're brand new at something, you're happy-go-lucky, you're cool, you're fresh. If you're at the pinnacle, you're happy-go-lucky, you got nothing to prove. In the middle, pain in the neck. You're filled with ego. You're edging God out, finding your own voice. So congratulations for being so accessible, because that alone speaks volumes of your character.
Thanks, Greg. Well, hey, for those that don't know you, there's going to be some people that are listening right now that they think they don't know you, but they do know you from books you've written. So why don't you kind of tell us more about your background and who you are?
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, everyone. My name is Greg. I'm an author, speaker, filmmaker, father, adventurer here in San Diego, California. I write books and make movies basically for a living. And it's really cool. Back in 1908, let's go way back, a guy named Napoleon Hill was given a letter by Andrew Carnegie to go write a book called Think and Grow Rich. Pretty much everyone knows that book.
Yep.
Well, fast forward 100 years in 2008, the family and president of Napoleon Hill Foundation wrote that same letter and gifted it to me. So basically,
Awesome.
I have a Willy Wonka ticket to go meet whoever we want and tell their story.
Yep.
And it's kind of neat. So we've been fortunate to write some really neat projects, and there you go.
Yeah. Tell us a few of the books so people will know them.
Well, we did, for example, Think and Grow Rich, Stickability. You're talking about that word, the power to
Right.
persevere, where I got to sit down with everyone from the guy who invented the credit card magnetic strip to the guy building the elevator to space. I got to tell you, one of the interviews out of there that really sticks out for me is a guy named Steve Wozniak, who started, Apple Computers.
Yep.
And I said, how did you and Steve have so much success? And he said, we embraced what we did not have. We embraced our lack. I go, what? He goes, I know it's counterintuitive, but most people look at their challenge and they run from it and they're never successful. He goes, when microchips came out, they were so expensive, we could only afford one chip. He goes, I sold my calculator and Jobs sold his bug, and we twirled our money to buy one chip. He said, I took a Hewlett-Packard machine that go from point A to point B using 20 chips. They were rich. I'd pull away 5, get it to work. I'd pull away 5 till finally I could go from point A to point B using our one chip. He goes, we weren't trying to be cool or slick.
Yeah.
We just could afford one. But by embracing that as an opportunity, we found the shortest, cleanest path and changed the way people do personal computing for the rest of the world, for the rest of their life. He said, where could you be if you stopped looking at something as a challenge, but actually an opportunity in disguise?
That's great. Yeah, that's good stuff. I think a lot of people tend to lean into what they think they're good at, which sometimes they're not great at. But yeah, that's great advice. So talk to us a little bit about where you see that in terms of power of perseverance. As we talked about, a lot of real estate investors, I've said this on the show many times, a lot of people that fail before they ever get started, and they just give up. And this is I know a lot of successful real estate investors that it took me 4 months to buy my first house. And I had built a team. We had an office. We had like a staff of 4 people. We were advertising. It took 4 months. And then it just like clicked, and then things start rolling. But I know lots of people that are super successful that I've had on the show before. It took them, 6-9 months before they got things going. And most people give up way before that. So tell us a little bit about the power of perseverance.
The first interview I ever did was a guy named Dave Liniger. Now, you might know him, but most people don't. He wanted to get into real estate in 1970. He says it was horrible. It was the other depression. He says it was so bad that all the money ran out. And for 2 years, every phone call came in was from a bill collector. He says I was so embarrassed when the phone would ring, I'd run across the hall and pick it up so my secretary wasn't on the spot. He goes, the 3rd year they threw me in jail, called me a fraud and a liar. I said, what'd you do? He says, I took my attitude from trying to prove them wrong just to prove myself right. He said, I picked up the phone and I called the bill collector. Says, I'll be honest, all the money's gone. I don't got 50 grand, but I got $50. He goes, I'll send it to you with a promise I won't quit. He said, I called every bill collector every month for the 4th year till someone finally bought the first business called Remax Real Estate. He goes, I'm nothing. He goes, but how many people's lives were changed? How many billions of dollars transactions would not have transpired if I would have given up on my dream? And how do we know someone watching this right now isn't about to give up on their dream because, Visa's calling them on the other line right now?
Yeah. One of the things that I think a lot of real estate investors face is, if they leave their job, their family and friends think they're crazy. They're like, everybody is kind of telling you, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why, that doesn't work. And that's a challenge that a lot of people face. And then at some point, when you get successful, people start saying, well, can you show me how to do that? The same people that doubted you before. But kind of talk about, surrounding yourself. It's important to surround yourself with others. But you've got friends and family that you can't necessarily divorce yourself from, or most people don't want to. And so just talk about that kind of issue of being surrounded by friends and family that think that you're crazy when you have a vision to do something, bigger and better.
Well, first of all, you do have a couple choices there. I disagree. We are where we choose to be. So, for example, when I have negative naysayers and family, friends, or what have you, I'll go golf with them and play poker, but I'm not going to share them my dreams. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the idiot if I sit there and tell them something I know they're going to rain on the parade. Makes no logical sense.
Yeah.
One of the greatest interviews I did was a guy named John Schwartz who invented string theory, and here's what he said. He said, "Successful people seek counsel, and failures listen to opinion." I go, "What's the difference?" He goes, "Opinion is based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, inexperience, like your family friends." He goes, "Counsel is based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. People have already done it." He says, "If you go to someone who's never bought a house and say, 'I'm going to buy one and make money flipping,' they're going to say, 'You can't do that.' Why not?" "I don't know." You just can't. That's their opinion. If I go to a gentleman like you who's done hundreds of them and say, "I want to do it too," you'll say, "Great. Before you get started, here's what you need to know," and give me counsel based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship.
Right.
John Short said, "If we would spend our daily lives only seeking counsel and you ignored those people's opinion, that's the day your life changes."
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how we, kind of how you teach people to kind of push through the negative to kind of persevere.
Well, again, we are where we choose to be, and we also have the thoughts we choose to think, right?
Yeah.
So Napoleon Hill always talked about PMA, positive mental attitude. But nowhere in PMA does it ever say that you have to ignore reality. One of my mentors, his name is Dave Corbin. He does something called illuminate. And illuminate means there's these dancing bears. You got to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. He says, no, accentuate the positive and illuminate the negative. Meaning, the sooner you can put a spotlight on what's going wrong, the quicker you can actually address and fix it. For example, if you got a date and you knock on the door and got a big pimple, as soon as you open the door and say, "All right, let's get this out of the way. I got Kilimanjaro right here," you laugh about it. I don't have to hide it. Well, it's the same thing. If we have a challenge and we can illuminate it, that's where things start moving. If you notice, Domino's Pizza, a few years ago did his campaign going, "Our pizza sucks. And, it's cardboard. Tell us how bad our pizza is." And people did and transformed them. And they ended up taking off the name pizza and became a multi-billion-dollar franchise. And the realities are they illuminated their negative. And the more that we can do that, the quicker that we can get other people and listen to help us through it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. In terms of like a framework to follow, where do we go from here?
In which capacity? What are you talking about? What's the meaning of life? Where do we go from here? I'm going to the Del Mar races here in a few minutes, so I don't know where you're going.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's say for folks that are looking to, maybe some people, another thing that happens with a lot of real estate investors is they get to a point to where they have some level of success, but they just get stuck. And they start to, in their mind, mentally, believe that, well, that's as good as it gets.
I got the answer. That's so interesting about it is that, we are, everyone's heard this cliche, but I'll just repeat it. We are a reflection of the people we hang around the most, and our income, our attitude, and lifestyle is the average of the group. If you hang around winners, you become one too. If you hang around people that complain, gripe, and moan, you become a great complainer, griper, moaner. So it's very important to surround ourselves with people who are getting the results that we want. Back to that counsel thing. When I wanted to write books, look, I got a D in English. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm a regular guy. So what I did is I went to Barnes & Noble. I bought every bestseller book. I called those authors up and said, "Teach me." They did. And here we are 56 books later and 45 languages and all that good stuff. Yeah. When I wanted to become a public speaker, I said, well, who's the best? Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, and Les Brown. Those are the only people that I hung out with and I learned and gleaned from, and here we are today. Yeah. Same thing, I'm making movies now. I said, okay, who just won an Oscar? Let me go hang out with them. Because surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do pulls you out of that negative mindset. If you're around other people that are negative or don't know what they're doing, it's called pooled ignorance. Surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do.
Sure, sure. And I think a lot of this, I know it's a misconception. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. A lot of people believe that people that have some level of success, the people that they look up to are, you talked a little bit ago about accessibility. A lot of people assume that, well, they would never talk to me. They're not going to share anything with me. But just to kind of talk about your experience on people that have that accessibility, because as I've worked for some CEOs of major companies and known some people, and once you kind of get to know them, you're like, this is just a regular guy. In fact, they may not have a lot of personal close friends. Everybody knows them, but it's not like they're in high demand. They still go home and they're still the have chores to do and a hunting to do list and all those things, just like regular people. But I think a lot of people assume that, they're just way too busy to ever spend time with me. They wouldn't give me the time of day. Share your experience.
The opposite of that. So, my experience is the most available people are the most successful people. And it's interesting how available people truly are, at least in my experience. So you're asking that, and that's what it is. Yeah. Especially when you're coming from a place of gratitude. The way I honor people is I remember sitting down, for example, Les Brown. I wanted to be a speaker at the first time. I said, Les, I go, give me one nugget of something I should do differently to improve my speaking. And he gave it to me. I left and did something crazy and applied it. I went back a month later, said, Mr. Brown, I met you a month ago. I asked for a nugget. Here's what I did. Here's my results. What should I do next? Shocked. He goes, oh my gosh, here's what you got to do. And all of a sudden, he just wanted to give me his whole life story because I honored him by actually applying those words of wisdom.
Yeah, that's great.
So the biggest thing I can share with people is that if you get great counsel, actually go do it and then respond back and let people know, report and tell them what happened.
Yeah. And what about, what advice would you give to people that, some folks, they find a way to get to get that accessibility, access to the person they want to, but they kind of go at it from an angle of taking, like, just give me your knowledge instead of, some people would say, well, is there any way I can help you in your business or help you to kind of learn from you? I mean, talk about, an approach that you advise people to take.
From the way I'm very fortunate because, again, I'm calling them up to usually interview them to write their story in a major best-selling worldwide book. So it's a little different energy. On the same way, when I was first getting started, I had that same attitude of where I wanted to sit them down and obviously treat them to lunch or whatever it is. But I also would go ahead and do outside activities. I remember when I was first getting started, I wanted to do things like, go blow up, fireworks displays and stuff like that. I'm kind of into it. So I would invite these people to do stuff out of their norm. And by doing that, all of a sudden they're in my playground. Because if you go up to people that are, just getting off stage and there's 1,000 people around them, you're just one of 1,000. Right. But if you can get them out of that environment into a neutral environment, not yours or theirs, just a neutral, that's where you have the conversation where you see people as they really are, the honey-do list or what have you.
Yeah.
And, so that's what I do is I separate them from the herd, so to speak, as quick as I can. Yeah. And then I like to enjoy my Yoli drink here and get my energy every day. So.
There you go, man. You got a lot of energy, so we know the source now.
Yoli.
Yeah. So in terms of talk about some of your other experiences in terms of where some of the challenges that you see people face and just how they're not able to push forward, but it's just a kind of a mental block that they usually face.
No, it's actually it's raising your standard. One of the greatest interviews I've ever done was a guy named Evander Holyfield, the boxing dude.
Yeah.
I said, how did you win more championships than anyone? And he says, I just have a higher standard. He goes, if you have a car and you don't tolerate it being dirty or running bad, you have a higher standard and a nicer car than your neighbor. In sports, I showed up early, left late, did things different, had a higher standard, won more championships. He goes, where could you be if you were a pet groomer, stockbroker, or a real estate flipper and you had a higher standard? I said, but didn't it hurt being in a fight? He goes, yeah. He goes, but when you're in a fight, you don't focus on the pain. You don't focus on the blows. As soon as you do, you end up on your back. But that's what people do outside the ring. They focus on gas prices, war, economy, interest rates, and they wonder why they never become a champion. And he pulled me in tight and says, what the funny thing is? When you do win the championship, he says, everyone comes to their feet. They chant your name and raise their hand in victory. A guy puts a big, shiny belt around your waist. And at that moment, you don't feel even one of the punches you took along the journey. But the guy in the losing locker room will have every excuse and every bruise forever, wishing they had a higher standard. So, in essence, surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. Raise your game, raise your standard, and then all of a sudden you'll be amazed what starts magically falling in your lap.
Yeah. It's a great analogy because a lot of real estate investors are that way. There's a lot of really successful real estate investors that buy a couple houses a month. It's not significant, but it could go 3 weeks with nothing, and then all of a sudden you get one. And it's funny, just like you said, when you get those wins and you're able to put a bunch of money in your bank account, you forget all of that bad stuff, And then the challenge is how to make sure you do it again and don't let that doubt kind of enter your mind.
Right. And I like what you were talking about earlier. Is, everyone's a skeptic until you're successful, and then they're
Right.
your biggest critics, right? And and then they come by and they want to know how you did it, so they can start doing it for
Right.
themselves.
Right.
But the main thing is, again, never share your dream with a dream stealer. I'm gonna say again, never share your dream with a dream stealer. I'm gonna write that one down for
Yeah,
myself
I'm gonna write it down too.
later. Exactly. So the whole idea is that people sit there and say, "Oh, my family, my friends." I hear this every interview I ever do say the same thing. I'm going, "Well, that's your fault. You're the one knucklehead sharing it." As soon as I get off stage, people say, "What's the one thing I could do different with my life?" And I sit there and say, "Well, all you want to do is make sure you surround yourself with people that are encouraging, uplifting, and share your dream. The second you start sharing with other people, they're going to pull you down. And if you can find other like-minded people who are already doing it, it's just joining the circle. It's like if I wanted to play soccer and I'm complaining because no one to play soccer with, well, if I join a soccer league, now I'm surrounding myself with soccer players and everything changes.
Absolutely.
Surround yourself with the people who are doing what you want to do. I know how many people in real estate complain, gripe, moan that, like you said, it's a lonely business. But you know how many cool events there are to go surround yourself with other investors? And then at least you're synergetically around each other, right? It's kind of like Comic-Con. You're the biggest, quote unquote nerd until you're hanging around with 100,000 other nerds, and then you're the cool kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because in terms of accessibility too, we've talked about this a couple times on the show before. When you go to like RIA clubs, real estate investing associations, and clubs that have monthly meetings, the people that go there, there's a lot of people that are newer, and there's a few people that come there that are the success stories, the ones that are doing really well.
Right.
And because it's kind of a lonely world, I found that the people that are successful that go there, what's such a great time to get them because they come there to socialize and share. And they usually have very few restrictions on, well, I'm not, because they're not really there to learn as much as they are to kind of teach and socialize. So for those listening, I think, RIA, we're a big supporter of RIA clubs. We have lots of RIA clubs that are listed on our site and how you can access them. And so, yeah, that's great. So kind of maybe talk about some trends that you've seen kind of going on. You've been doing this for a while in kind of America. I just feel like there's this general trend to where everybody, not everybody, fortunately, but more and more people feel like they're a victim to circumstance, and we're the government's supporting more and more people, and all those things that kind of make people feel more and more like a victim, like they don't control their own destiny. I mean, is that a trend that you see as well, or is that just me?
I guess I see the opposite of it. It's just like I find that interesting you'd say that because you're seeing so many people taking control of their life and going into this industry and not letting the economy or environment dictate their lives, but they're dictating it themselves. So in my circle of friends, but again, because it's
your circle of friends that you're surrounding yourself with, right?
We have conversations like that. Yeah. It's funny. I do this event a couple times a year called Secret Knock. And this is less of a plug, but more just reality is people always say, how do you hang out with these people? So if you're who you hang out with, in 3 weeks from now, I'm doing one in San Diego. It's sold out, so you can't go anyway. But the thing is that we're bringing the guy who invented Pictionary, the guy who won an Academy Award, the founder of Make-A-Wish, the guy who started the Ugg boots, the guy who invented the credit card, all these people. And if you start having my conversations aren't like lack, they're more what's possible.
Yeah.
So it's very important to surround yourself with the people who are doing what you want to do, and then you start doing it. The one trend I will say that is coming, and this is really weird, is Periscope. And by the way, people want to follow me on Periscope. It's Greg, the letter S, Reid. Greg S. Reid, Periscope. I think this is the new thing. I think people are going to be getting off Facebooks and a lot of these different things and going to Periscope, especially in your industry.
Yeah.
Because it's so cool that from a live, location, they can walk around an apartment or a house and show them what they're doing and what they're looking at real time. And it's like eavesdropping in a real time. So I've got a whopping, I think, 14 followers. I just signed up yesterday, but I think this is the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of people using
that want to follow me. I'll follow you back. So go to Greg S. Reid at Periscope and see what happens.
Awesome. Yeah, I think my comment there was, a lot of it is from social media. Like you can't get on Facebook and scroll around a little bit without seeing people complaining about this and complaining about that. And it's just all this noise out there, like you said. That
hey, wait a second. Yes, you can. So, for example, you only see in the feed the people are your friends.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is, myself, I go through there, and anyone that complains about our government or whatever, I defriend them, or they
Yeah, yeah.
complain that, everything's Obama's fault or whoever, I get rid of it, or police brutality or whatever it is that doesn't fit the mindset that I want to see. I just
Yep.
get rid of it.
Yep.
And what happens is the news feeds that I get are actually pretty cool. And so what happens, I only surround myself with the people that are saying the things that I want to have a conversation.
Sure.
And it's interesting. Richard Branson, Oprah, Bill Gates, they have the same philosophy. They say they don't surround themselves with anyone that's negative. Now, you can be direct and say, illuminate the challenge with a positive result. It's kind of like, hey, this thing's broke. Here's the solution to fix it. That's cool.
Yep.
But just want to bitch and complain, there's no space for that, especially in my circle. So, we do have control of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Greg, we have just a couple minutes left here. Any kind of words of wisdom you want to share to people on how to, if they've been stuck in a rut or if they're not taking it to the next level like they want to, just general advice on how they can kind of persevere and move forward.
Well, remember this: our challenges, setbacks, and failures do not define us as a person. And what we've gone through just has made us stronger. It's interesting. It's kind of like, here, I'll use an example. I remember when I met a gal named Genevieve Boss who started Pink Magazine. And I said, I feel like such a failure because I used to have more success than I do today. And she goes, never let your setbacks or circumstances determine your value as a person. I go, well, that's easy for you to say because you're rich. And she pulled out a $100 bill and she goes, here, do you want this? I go, yeah, I could use that money, right? And she crumples it and she goes, here, do you still want it? I go, yeah, I could use that money. She takes it and she throws it on the ground, steps on it like a cigar butt. She goes, here, do you still want it? And I go, humbly, yeah, I could use that $100. And she goes, then why is it in life when you get beaten, kicked around, and you get crumpled, you get thrown to the ground and stepped on, you think your value as a person changes? Just as that $100 stays the same, what you went through just proves that it didn't make you tear and makes you more stronger as a person.
Yeah.
So never let your mistakes, setbacks, or circumstances determine your value as a person.
That's awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, Greg, for folks that want to learn more about you or what you've got going on, where should they go?
To Periscope, Greg S. Reid. Start periscoping because I'm going to start doing some things, and my website is bookgreg.com. But more importantly, go to Barnes & Noble, pick out one of my books. I think you'll dig on it because we come from a different perspective. Rather than about the guru, how great they are, what we do is put a spotlight on these amazing individuals and tell their stories so that you can see yourself there.
Awesome. Greg, hey, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing your insights with us. Definitely appreciate it.
And thanks for having me on. You're a champion. I'll see you later, brother.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good
Bye.
day. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry. So get on over to FlipNerd.com.